and welcome to another episode of the Sharper Edge podcast with Betty Parker. I am so happy that you decided to join me again this week because we've been talking about and really tackling a lot of people issues. You know, that's what this podcast is all about. The goal is to make sure that we highlight those things that kind of get in the way of our success and our progress, but also to hold ourselves accountable to changing those things that we can change. And it always starts with us. So you all know I'm big on self-awareness, making sure we are taking examination and doing some introspective work about us. And then figuring out, what are those parts of us that we need to improve upon. And each week I try to bring a guest in who can help explore some of that with us and to really, raise some questions and think about some of the things or cause us to think about some of the things we might be overlooking and highlighting some of our blind spots. So today is no different. I am joined by the wonderful Ron Harvey of Global Core Strategies, who, I don't know, I feel like me and Ron have been knowing each other for like 100 years. We've done so much work together. I really admire his work and appreciate his opinion and his outlook. He always challenges me. And so today will be, like I said, no different. We are going to just talk this thing through around values, personal values. So Ron Harvey, welcome.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks, Betty. I'm happy to be here. I respect all the work that you're doing as well. I would probably say I'm really happy that I'm probably one of the out of the three guys I've seen. I'm probably the third guy that you're bringing on. So I'm glad you're bringing these dudes to the show. I was feeling some kind of way until you gave me an invitation. So making sure that you bring us to the table. You got some phenomenal women, but some of these dudes can bring some stuff too, Betty. So keep inviting us.
The shade. Oh, the shade. Hey, listen, we highlight male voices in here as well, but you're absolutely right. I can do better on that. All right. So I appreciate you, but you can hold it down for 10 minutes. Okay.
Oh yes. I got it. Hey guys, I got us. I got us.
You got
I
it.
got
You got it.
some more of us now. So I just started it. Now y'all can probably get a lot of.
Oh, I gotta go find all kinds of people to bring invitations into right now. So it's good. But listen, so I just love the perspectives, right? Because they do vary from person to person. And with all the experience that you have and so many of the guys that you work with, I know you can help me to parse out some of the real important parts of personal values. So let's talk a little bit about that. I don't know if we do a good enough job of determining and identifying what our personal values are. I don't know if people really sit around and think about what really matters to me in terms of, how I want to live my life, the people I associate myself with, the things I feel are important and I co-sign on and I want the world to know about. I know you do this in your teaching of leadership and, even as a man of God, because I know you do a lot of, you're active in your church too. So whether it is in our personal lives or whether it is in our work lives, tell me your take on developing and identifying our personal values.
Yeah, I mean it's a phenomenal question. I think oftentimes our values are handed down to us from our parents. And from the institutions and the locations that we are. And I don't know, most of us spend time understanding what are our own values that we've developed over time. And I'll tell you, my father is a pastor, my grandfather was a pastor, my great grandfather was a pastor, and there are a lot of things that arbitrarily were handed down that I had to figure out the difference in who am I based on the world that I live in today. Well, what are my own personal values that I've either adjusted or modified or adopted for me and for my family, and then they'll come up with their own. So for me, I had to figure out what was important to me versus what was handed to me.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, there's some things that just stood out for me. People hear me all the time is, can I live them out? And one of them, my value system is built on how do I want people to describe me if I couldn't talk for myself?
Yeah.
Like, how am I showing up every day? What am I doing every day? And not something that reads well and breathes well, but how do I show up every day that people will use those words to describe me without me having a voice in it? So am I living it out? So my values are based on how I live versus what I read or someone told me I should be, or even what my church said, this is what you should do based on what the Bible says.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a good person, and what does that look like? And so I'll tell you, my values are built off of how I live every day.
Can you identify or give us some idea of what would be like the top 3 for you when it comes to your own personal values? What do you have as part of your life and what you, and because you have children as well. So how have you raised your children to believe, because you say we do get them from our parents. So
Yes.
you're passing it along in your family. What did you want them to know most about how they should live their lives in the way that as a parent would like to see their children live?
Yeah, absolutely. Something that stands out all the time for me is kindness. And I say that because I can hold people accountable and be kind.
Yes.
I can disagree and be kind. I can agree and be kind.
Yes.
I can support or not support and be kind. And so I've always, believed that we don't have to be mean to get anything done. So kindness is huge for me when it comes to my values of, hey, can you just be kind? So I'm living it every day, and kindness shows up everywhere for me. Like, can I just, it may not be the thing that I would pick first, but I can be kind about it. And I don't lose myself in it, but I want to be remembered as a kind person at the end of the day. And I don't want people to have to show up at my eulogy and have to lie about what they got to say about me.
How about that? How
Like,
about
no,
that?
you can make it up. You can literally say nah, and people will get an amen at the church, and they'll read it and say, yeah, that's how Ron was publicly. Privately, he was not kind. And so I want to be seen both publicly and privately as kind.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, have you ever been in a funeral where you can tell they struggling?
I done been at funerals like, who they talking about?
Who they talking about? Because that ain't the person that's laying down there right now, right?
That ain't the person that's up front. Are we at the wrong funeral? What happened here? Yes.
Right. Oh man, I've seen people go through all kinds of gyrations trying to find just the right words to
Yes.
describe somebody who is just hell on earth, right? So
Yes.
I'm with you. All right. So I asked you for the top three.
Yes. So kindness
So kindness
is
is one.
yeah, that stands out the most trustworthy. I want to be seen as trustworthy at the end of the day. And the last one that I would use, and people hear me say it all the time, people always matter.
Yeah.
I want to see people as people, and they don't have to be perfect, and they don't have to be right. They don't have to fit a certain mold for me. I just want to see them as people. And so when people will tell you, like, no, one thing about him, he respects all people. He don't agree with all people, but he does value all people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for kindness, trustworthiness, and the people always matter is huge for me.
I understand and appreciate that, because I could kind of walk that same pathway with you. There's so much that comes out of, so I'll take one of your values. So if you say people always matter, how do you live that out loud? What do you do? How do you demonstrate that so that people can really see that, yeah, you really do value people?
Yeah, and I love that you said live out loud. I'll tell you that I don't do a lot of stuff out loud. And I say that intentionally because I think we're so caught up in this world of technology that everybody wants people to see and hear versus just do it. And I don't have to say it out loud. I'll just be it and you'll notice it. I don't do anything to be noticed. Honestly, I do it and it will get noticed. So when I think about me, making sure that people always matter, what I think I do consistently is I show up for other people. I
Mm-hmm.
listen to what other people say. I give people space to be brilliant and to be good and to be better than me. I endorse and I help out and I collaborate. I'm a huge cheerleader for a lot of people. And at the end of the day, people see me like, no, he really does. He's going to always ask, what do you need? How can I help you? What is it that you're struggling with? Who can I introduce you to? So
Mm-hmm.
I see the value in everybody, regardless of their titles or their positions or how smart they are or what organization they are, divine nine or not. I just see the value in people, and they don't have to come with a certain package for me to see value in them.
So I'm a recipient of that kindness and that people matter from you, because you definitely are a connector of people, and you really do. You will put other people out front. So I totally agree with the fact that if if you have a certain value that you live regularly, people will take notice of it, because it just becomes a part of how you function. You don't even, it's
Absolutely.
not even an effort to do it. It just it becomes so natural to you, because that's just how you have learned to live. And if those
Yes.
things happen to be good, well, hallelujah, everybody gets the benefit of that, right?
Yeah.
So then we can see you authentically as Ron, the guy who values people, because it shows up
Absolutely.
in the things that you do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ron,
publicly and privately. Yeah, I think that's publicly and privately too, Betty. I think some people are publicly are superstars and privately very destructive.
yeah.
I mean, they won't say it out because they don't want to take the backlash, but they'll do
Mhm.
some things that just if you were to put it on the screen, they would probably not have done it. But I say, can you just do those both? And oftentimes people always matter for me, cost me something, and I'm okay with that. I can live with that. I mean, I stand up for people's careers, and I say, no, I if that's what you want to do, I can't be a part of it, because it goes against what I fundamentally believe is the right thing to do. So
Mhm.
you can do it. I just can't be a part of it, and I'll respect that. I'm not here to tell you, right, wrong, or indifferent. I just say it's not in alignment with who I am, and
Right.
and and I don't disrespect them and tell them it's horrible. I just say it doesn't because it doesn't align with what I believe or my values. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't work for me as far as how I want to be perceived.
Mhm. And that's why it's important to identify whatever your values are.
Yes. Yes.
So you have to, and that's why I encourage people to do that, because you're going to have to put your values alongside somebody else or some companies or whatever and determine, does this really work for me? My daughter right now is looking for work. She just
Yes.
graduated college in the spring, and so she's looking for work. Now she's doing some little part-time work right now, but one of the companies that's coming for her, and it's a really, really good program and really good pay, is a company whose values don't necessarily line up with hers. And she was like, should I keep doing these interviews? Because there are a company, they're a tobacco company. She
Yes.
doesn't smoke. We've had family members that have had lung cancer, things like that. So they asked her that in the interview. How do you feel about working for a company that produces tobacco products? And she was very honest with them and saying, I really, it gives me pause, because I'm not sure that I know that this doesn't line up with with my life and the way what I value. And she tells them, about the family member and this kind of thing. So that's why I think it's important, as individuals, we got to figure out, what works for me. Whose company do I want to be seen in?
Yes.
Who do I want to be seen supporting?
Yes.
All those things that help people to identify and really try to define who we are, in a sense, because you're getting judged all the time, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's where you got to be really, really, really intentional about defining who you are, what matters to you. So that way you're not out of alignment, because it becomes very difficult to, when you're out of alignment, to stand up for what you are representing if you're out of alignment. And so, you can't chase money when you're doing that. You can't chase titles and egos and friendships. And you got to be first define who are you and what matters to you, and not what's handed to you because someone told you, this is what you're supposed to do. If you don't believe in it, you're not going to live it.
Right. That part. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, where is your belief system? And
Yes.
that's what values are about, Hans. It's what your belief system is about. What's important to you? What matters to you? What's acceptable to you? What's good to you? All those things
Yes.
that
Yes.
make you want to live your life a particular way. And so, yeah, we got to be able to define that. So, Ron, then tell me, how does this play out in both our personal lives and our professional lives? What should values look like in both segments?
Yeah, I would say how values really show up in both, and people want to separate. I tell people, you are who you are. You may be in different environments, but your personal life and your professional life, I'm still Ron, just in different rooms, different spaces, and different places. But at the end of the day, I'm still Ron Harvey, and what it does for me is it allows me to have personal accountability. I don't need no one to hold me accountable for some things that are about my values.
Mhm.
Why do I need the world to tell me things about how I should live, the things that I say that are important to me? If I say people always matter, I should be able to hold myself accountable to that.
Mhm.
That's how I live. If I say that, I want to make sure that I'm kind, I don't necessarily need someone's values of their company or their mission statement of their organization for me to show up kind. So my values are personal accountability metrics, if you will, for me, that I
Mhm.
want to make sure I'm living up to what I say I want to be, regardless of what else people are saying I ought to be. Like some people got to go to church to say they got to be kind. Why? Like, do you not want to be kind whether you were in the church or not in the church? No. So for me, my values are a tool that I use for me holding me accountable.
Yeah. Right. And that how about that? So looking at, what do you say is important to you? What do you say uh matters in life to
Yes,
you and to your family and all those things? And then look at your behavior and say, now does my behavior, like you always say, does my audio match my video?
absolutely.
So am I saying one thing and doing something else? Or am
Yes,
I being genuine and everything is in alignment, right? What I say to you, I'm showing you as well, and I don't have to make a real big effort at it because it's just a part of the way I've chosen to live my life, all my life, or as much of my life
yes,
as I've been able to control. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So that's what I use my values for. Is these are things that I said that I'm okay, and it stretches me sometimes quite often, and it's not easy to always live them. Um, there are some times when I would want to do the other thing, but I get caught up in my emotions and feelings at that time because I'm mad about something. But when I
Hmm.
come back at the end of the day and say, okay, Ron, you said be kind. Yeah, I know this person just said something you don't like. Matter of fact, this person's coming after you. Can you still be kind? It's easy to be kind to people that go along with you, that support you,
Well,
that
yes.
like you. But can I be kind to a person that will probably never like me,
Hmm.
that will never agree with me,
Hmm.
that will destroy me if they had a chance to?
Yeah.
Can I be that's where my values bump and say, yeah, can you be kind? And I'll tell you, I've gotten much better at being kind regardless.
Yeah, and so this is what I want to clarify in that too, because I still believe if it's a value of yours, you believe in it.
Yes,
And the majority of your life is going to be based in kindness. When you
yes,
get the knucklehead that comes at you and makes you their enemy,
yes.
yeah, you got to work harder at that kindness and you might stumble a little bit, but it doesn't change the fact that you believe in kindness and you practice it much of your life. So,
Absolutely. I can
yeah.
tell you that, serving in the military 21 years, there are things that was said that could have easily, as provoked me. And what I will tell you that helps me practice kindness as an acronym I use it, and you probably heard me say it in rooms, and people that know me well will be like, yep, he's gonna use it. Q-tip it.
Yep. Yep.
Q-tip it.
Yep. Quit taking it personal.
Get out
Mhm.
of your feelings, get out of all those things that's going to provoke you and make you
Mhm.
show up in a way that you don't want to be seen. And so when those things happen, I'll literally say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm
Mhm.
going to do my best to ensure that I stay true to me while also making sure that I see you and I'm kind to you. So I'm going to still be kind, even though you may not appreciate or like what I'm doing. I'm gonna be kind to
Mhm.
you, even if you're never kind to me.
Mhm.
Stay true to me because I'm judged off of my behavior. I'm never judged off of what happens to me ever.
Oh, say that like 10 more times, right?
And I think that's where we get in trouble is that, well, I had a reason to, or, some of us even walk in rooms looking for a reason to be who we really are. We just need to use that as an excuse to be mean or to be nasty or to use profanity. Some of us
Mhm.
are waiting for the opportunity to be who we really are. We just need someone to give us a reason to validate our behavior. Well, if you're a good person, be a good person even during adversity.
Yeah. Around I see a lot of bad behavior where there are these people who, and it's this old saying where they throw the rock and hide their hand.
Yes.
So they'll cause issues and then place themselves in a position of victim. So you went out here, you caused all this ruckus, pretty much shook everybody,
Right.
rattled everybody's cage, and then when they came back at you hard, then you want to run and say, "Oh, but look how they treated me. I don't know why people got so upset with me." Well, you knew you were venturing into a place of sensitivity for those people. You knew what kind of reaction you would get. So now you can't play victim. But so to your point, what's the value in that person, right? Do they love living in chaos and creating all kinds of, mayhem for people? And there are people who live like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes. And what I've learned to do over time, Betty, I very rarely get caught up in stuff that's just making everybody mad. The first thing I want to do is say, okay, if I don't judge, I can say, hey, I don't agree with that, but I don't label them as bad or good or right or wrong.
Right.
I say, hey, my value system, I disagree with their behavior, but they're still a human being. And I still want to make sure that I do the respectful thing according to who I want to be seen as. Now, Betty wants to destroy herself, let Betty do it, but she doesn't need your co-signing or your assistance. Be true to who you are, regardless of whether she's true to herself or not.
Totally.
I'm in a place where that's more important to me than me destroying you.
Yeah. We can do that on our own, right?
Absolutely. You will. At the end of the day, it'll happen, and it may take longer. And I'm not even wishing for you to be destroyed. I don't have I sure hope she get what she got coming. No, I'm not even making that statement.
Yeah.
What I am saying is I hope I was who I was supposed to be to her, even in her time of unfortunate things happening. I still want the best thing for them, even though they're not doing anything to make it best for. And that's hard. I will tell you that. You can ask me that at 18. You can ask me that.
That's maturity. That's us maturing. And so that's what people need to do too, because I think we live in petty for far too long as older people. And it's like, all right, I need you to grow up now and stop dealing in that kind of foolishness like kids, right? You need to come to me as an adult. Let's have an adult conversation, even if we don't agree, like you were describing, because we don't all have to agree, but we have placed our opinion above everybody else's, and we resent other people having an opinion, and we're going to try to convince you to see things our way if we got to say it loudly, if we got to say it 10 times. And it's like I always tell people when I'm doing conflict management, look, you don't have to raise your voice and yell and repeat yourself. Just because I'm not agreeing with you doesn't mean I didn't hear you. I heard you fine. You ain't got to say it over and over again. I just don't agree with you. Okay. And I should be allowed to have my own opinions and ideas.
Absolutely.
So when we think about the workplace, Ron, we were talking about leaders and, people, because sometimes people lead in chaos. What's your advice in terms of when you're with a person who is in a leadership position who thinks to pit people against each other creates camaraderie? And so I'm going to, cause this little chaos because that's going to cause the other one to want to outdo the other one. And then that means the organization moves forward because everybody's trying to operate at their best.
Yeah, I don't play well in those fields, and I'm not saying right or wrong in it. I don't play well in those places where you want to. Someone has to lose. So I'm never. Yeah, I was never. Athletics, sports. There's a team that's going to win, and a team that's going to lose, and people never want me on their team because I played for the connection and the fun. And if I lost, I was like, okay, let's do it again. And the people that wanted to win were mad at me, like, no, you need to be on the other team. We're here to win. Let's not get confused.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they will be angry at me, and I'll be all a good sport. Oh, let's go do it. And I don't believe everybody gets a trophy, but I also don't think that for me, at the end of the day, if you try to pit me against someone, me personally, I still want to see them as a human being and play my best game. And if I win, I say, hey, congratulations, I'd love to play again. But I don't see them as less capable. I felt I had a better day and a better moment. But I don't intentionally put people against people to motivate them. So I've never agreed with that because I do believe in what I call co-opetition, which means I cooperate with the same person that I'm competing against. I don't believe two teams got to hate each other to play a good game. I don't believe they have to be mean to each other to play really, really hard.
Yeah.
I don't believe they have to hurt each other to win. Injuries will happen, but I don't think I need to intentionally, when I play football, try to take someone out the game. I never had that other mindset. I actually wanted to make sure they didn't try to take me out with an injury, and I didn't try to take them out with an injury because I wanted them to have a good career.
Yeah.
I wanted them to have a good game. I wanted them to walk off the field the same way they walked on the field. I hope I got the W, but if I didn't get the W, I didn't all of a sudden become a rivalry and I didn't like them. So I'm never in a place, me and you, I mean, we both run business. I've never seen you as my opposition.
Right.
Ever. I mean, I've seen you as someone I can co-create with, collaborate with, support. You support me, I support you, but I've never seen us competing. And I want you to win just as well as I win. I don't want you to lose, and I don't want to lose. And there's a way for us all to win together, but it's going to take us understanding our own value system.
And that's one thing that I think we've done so well together, Ron. A lot of people, because we do the same thing, we should be competitors, but what we chose to do was build an alliance.
Absolutely.
So we shift work back and forth with each other. We support each other in our businesses, and that's worked out well for us. And so people need to realize there's enough room for everybody, and collectively we can win.
Yeah, you think about it. I ask, in the room very often, I ask people, like, especially if we do it in our region where we live at in the Midlands, I say, how many Chick-fil-A's do they have in this region? And people start rattling them off, 7, 8. I say, you ever seen them arguing over business? You ever seen them talk about each other?
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, they have retreats where they get together and have a breakfast of their own with all of the operators, and they talk about what they can do and what they're learning and what mistakes they make. They actually like each other. They actually get along with each other. They actually meet with each other. But they all going for the same business. I say because there's enough business for 7 Chick-fil-A's in the Middle
Right.
East. There's enough for everybody. I think we get greedy.
Yes.
I think we think that we gotta make someone else less significant so we can feel better about ourselves. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what happens to most of us. Is I gotta because I'm insecure. I gotta make Betty less of a object so I can feel better about myself.
Yep.
I'm never gonna make you smaller so I can feel good.
Yep. And people do it. They play that game all the time. So if I can diminish you, it blows me up, or at least that's their perception. They
Yes,
think that's how it works, but it doesn't. And people
yes,
who can see through that would reject it. They would be like,
absolutely.
all they do is trash their competition. I don't want to work with somebody like that, right? And so that's why we got to stay on the straight and narrow path of doing what we're supposed to be doing. So when we're
Yes,
talking about these personal values, Ron, what pops up in my mind as well is purpose. Because I know in businesses, when we go and do strategic work, we talk to them about their mission and their
yes,
vision. And then we look at their values, which is going to inform that vision and mission and how the organization is going to work. Same rules apply for us when we
yes,
start looking at what's our personal mission, our purpose in how we live our lives. I think you got a book that you just recently
yes,
published
yes.
called Impact Leadership.
Absolutely, yeah. I need everybody to see that, right? It's new too, Betty. I just released it, Impact Leadership. But what I think is so important about the book, I mean, it's on Amazon. Love for you to purchase it if you're interested and share it with other people. But here's where I think we get to make the decision, but people have a mission or a purpose. Here's what I personally do every single day. If you go to People Always Matter, you hear me say that all the time.
Mhm.
But I don't want to do anything that's not going to make a difference positively for someone else. A part of our mindset and my mindset is, okay, what's the impact you're having? Not the thing you're doing. That's why the book is called Impact Leadership. Leadership ain't about your title. It ain't about your pay. It ain't about your position. It ain't about where you sit at. It ain't about how great people think of you. If you go back and think of all the people that's ever had an impact on your life, it had nothing to do with how smart they were, and it had absolutely nothing to do with how good they were at their job. It had more to do with stuff like trustworthiness, compassionate, understanding, supportive, kind, loving. When any one of us has listened to this podcast, write down the top 2 words that come to mind about the person that helped you become who you are today. The one person. And 90% of your responses won't have anything to do with their education or how good they were at their job.
Right.
That's what I live by. Like, how do I have an impact? Not how do I create this brand or this image? Because we're so caught up in everybody got to know that you're good at what you do. And social media is nice, but social media, sometimes I think it's overdoing it because everybody wants to tell you how great they are. Just do it.
Mhm. I appreciate like the whole idea around impact because I'm big on, you know, in the spaces you occupy, what kind of impact are you having on the
Yes.
people when you show up in these spaces, what are you leaving behind?
Yes.
And will they be able to say they had a positive experience with you and they're raring to go and do something else because you left something great for them? Or are they glad that you left? You
Yes.
know? So your impact, and it's far reaching and it matters.
It would
So
outlive you. It'll outlive you. Yeah,
it will.
it literally will outlive you. When I walk into rooms and we're hosting a conference and people come to that conference, I say, hey, why do you support the conference? They say, man, your impact, the way you make people feel, the things that you do, the way you try to keep us together, the unity, the support, like all the things that you do that will outlive you. So if I'm not here tomorrow, there'll be some things that people will still do because of what I did. And they may never know, like most people don't even know what my degree is in. Most of my friends do not know what my degree is in
Mhm.
because it's irrelevant. But they know what my heart is
And that's going to shine through more than your degree.
every day.
You don't walk around with MBA on your chest or whatever the deal is, but they certainly are going to look at how did Ron talk to me? How did he
Yeah,
treat me when he was with me? Right.
yeah,
And that has nothing to do with that big old degree you got. It's
yes,
about our singular interactions and how you made me feel while we were in there and what you shared with me. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I live by.
impact.
And that's what the whole book is about. Impact leadership is really, about that. Like what's if you left a room today, so what? What would have changed based on
Mhm.
you being present? Like what would have gotten better, would have improved, would have made somebody's life better. Even our organization, I try to help people get things that they couldn't get if I didn't help them get it.
Mm.
I'm very intentional about that. Hey, what can I help you do that you can't do without me?
Hmm.
That's what I want to help you do.
Yeah. And so we have to look at that, Ron. What's my purpose as I traverse this world? What do I want my legacy to
Yes,
be? So, like you said, if I left this place, and I mean, I'm talking left this life
yes,
completely, what will people say about me? How, if we want to start talking about branding, what is my brand? Which basically is your reputation on a personal
yes.
level. So what would people say about you? How did they experience you? And if it's not working right now, what do you need to change in
Absolutely.
order to get people to see you in the way you want to be seen? And sometimes, we have these great aspirations about how we want people to look at us, and especially, down the road a piece. But today we're living in a way that's counter to that. So
Yeah.
what do we need to change?
Yeah, I think those are fair questions to all of us. The one thing I had to do, because it's so easy when you become successful. I won't say the best, but successful. It is so easy to let your ego get in the way. You
Oh
think that,
yeah.
that you all of us think you've arrived and everybody sees you and everybody, that may all be true, but people want you to not have an ego. They want you to be humble. No matter how good I ever get or what the world may think about me and how many people may show up at my services one day, I do want people to say two things about me. He added value and he made a difference.
Hmm.
And you can stop. I mean, you can get them some chicken and collard greens after that. You know, because at the end of the day, that's because you don't have to make up anything. So I live by the principle of, if someone had to do your eulogy today, what
Hmm.
what do you want them to say? And then my second question after that, then what are you doing for them to say that?
Yes. That part. What stories will they tell about you?
Yes.
Because after you die, everybody's got a story about, oh, I remember that time when,
Everybody's
right?
a good person. Yeah, everybody's a phenomenal person after you like that, because it's mean to say that someone that just died wasn't nice.
I know, right?
It's kind
Yeah.
of mean to not say that they were how great they were.
But don't force people, yeah, don't make people feel forced to say something good about you. It should come
Absolutely.
naturally because of the life that you lived.
That's what I work on. Like, what do you say if I wasn't there, you wasn't recording, and it wouldn't make you a bad person? What would you authentically say that I would want you to say? And what am I doing to get there without bribing you or paying you off to say it?
Those are some tough questions that people need to be asking themselves, right? Because it's like,
Mhm.
and now, okay, so what do we do with the people? Because you just mentioned a very important word, humility. So if
Yes.
I'm not humble in my leadership, whether I'm leading my household and my family, or whether I'm leading a team at work, am I presenting myself as one who can be still a part of the team and not apart from the team because I see myself here and everybody else there? Do I have a vested interest in everybody else's success? Am I, or do I see myself as, some type of superior? And, when it comes to you, I have to offer you all of this correction, and I got to judge you, and I got to tell you what you're not doing right. And I got, all these ways that we denigrate one another.
Yes.
So, as leaders, we got to be more careful and realize that we are not above the people that we lead, maybe on an org chart, but person to person.
Yeah. I mean, I think org charts are nice and they're necessary, but it's not how you live your life.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, I think it keeps some kind of organizational structure and chaos from happening. But here's where I challenge every leader. Leaders, the people don't work for you. They don't belong to you. It's actually the opposite. You work for them.
Right.
So when you're showing up as a parent, I work for my children. As much as some parents like, nah, yeah, you're paying all the bills and you're making sure they got health care and you're making sure they go to school and you're making sure they got you're working to make sure that the people that you're responsible to are getting what they're supposed to get from you. So I've never seen myself as a leader that says people are serving me. Ever. I mean, even though
Right.
people want to help me, and that's because of how I show up. I got tons, and I'm doing a conference. There's so many people. How can we help? How can we help? That want to be of service to me, and I had to become okay with people serving me because I struggle at that because I like to serve.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to let people also get their opportunity to serve. And they're like, man, we want to help. Please, like, get out the way, man. Go sit down. We want to help you. So I had to be okay with accepting that. But I also, as a leader, I've never seen myself as self-serving.
Mm-hmm.
I said my job is to make sure that they have everything they need to do the job that I want them to do or need them to do. So how do I do that together? And if you do it really, really well, this thing called impact leadership, it just works out much better. The first rule, be kind.
Yeah. I like that rule. And if we can, and it seems like a simple one, doesn't it? But some
Yeah, it's
people
difficult.
struggle.
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, and I think social media sometimes allows us, and the world has allowed us. At the end of the day, I can go back and look at my childhood and coming up, and people were just genuinely, naturally nice and kind, and I think for whatever reason, I don't think people is genuinely nice and kind. I watch people get more impatient. I watch people, run red lights and get mad at you and yell and scream. There's some things I see people do that I didn't see when I was growing up. That
Mhm.
that just it's not kindness. And I think it's not a natural. I even watch kids on the playground that became meaner. Yeah, so I think we got to, for me personally, I just want to make sure I show up as, yeah. Here's what I've learned, Betty. I can hold you accountable and be respectful and kind.
Uh-huh.
I can actually give you feedback and be kind. I can actually disagree with you and see a different point of view and still.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever. And I'm a veteran. I'm a soldier, and soldiers, they teach me how to be mean. I mean, you can
Right.
be as mean as you want to be as a soldier and get away with it. I didn't think I ever had to be mean to be effective.
Yeah. It's baked into the culture a lot of times, so and I'll go there too. What kind of culture do you want to establish
Yes.
on your job and even in your household, in your family? What's your family? What are your cultural values with even in your family? And so what that means or what you want that to be and identifying that helps us all know how we're going to operate in that particular place. So if I got, my spouse and my children and we say we're a family of love, then every time somebody enters crosses over the threshold in my household, in my house, they're going to feel that from everybody in the house because that's our family culture. This is how we operate. This is how we function because it's a product of our values and what we've identified as a household. Same thing in the workplace. If I'm a supervisor or manager over a team and I say full transparency and trust is what's important in our culture, then I have to exemplify that. And so, what does that look like? And there's 20 million different ways to show that we trust each other and we're a trustworthy group of people. And so, we establish the culture as a team, fully as a team, once that's identified.
Yeah, I think you said. I mean, you hear me say it all the time. You use it, multiple times. Man, does your audio match your video?
Yeah,
Like at the end of the day, if you say trust, then what does it look like? If you say love, what does it look like? If you say kindness, what? If you say transparency, what does it look like? If you say trustworthy, what does it look? If you say integrity, like what? And it's not just when it's convenient. When it's inconvenient, can you still do it?
yes. Well, if it's practiced every day, Ron, you should be able to do it because it becomes the norm. So,
Yeah,
if this is what
yeah,
we do, yeah.
yeah. I mean, think about it, but here's why I say that. I don't know if it's modeled well,
Yeah.
and here's what I mean by that. Our school systems had to put a rule in place for no cell phones,
Mhm.
but parents want their kids to learn, or parents complain about what kids wear to school, but parents buy the clothes and parents provide cell phone. So if we're saying we want the teachers to be able to do their job effectively, then why did the school district have to make a policy no cell phone use? Why didn't we look at our kids and tell our kids this phone will not be used in school? And if I get any notice that it will, then we're going to make sure that you don't carry a phone to school so you can live
Mhm.
up to what we trust you to do. And if you can't live
Mhm.
up to it, we'll put a policy in place that holds you and I accountable. So when I went to school and Maya was struggling in the class, and then she said, I said, no, I said, ma'am, I say, Maya has a responsibility based on what we expect, just like I have a responsibility to her.
That's
My
right.
daughter is required. And I said, I'm here as a parent because I'm involved and I care and I want to make sure you can do your job, but I want to make sure she does hers too.
Mhm.
Let's figure out how to help my daughter not struggle.
Yeah.
And I want to move her to the front. And she said, well, I don't really want to move her. See, I said, ma'am, it's non-negotiable. We're going to move her to the front until her grade is what it needs to be. And then if she can adjust to that and we'll reconsider it. But for now, I need my daughter to be to the front of the class.
Mm-hmm.
I made that decision. And did Maya like it initially? No. Was she angry? Of course. But I did and say, hey, I care enough. And I wasn't mean to her. I wasn't loud. And I'm never a yeller, screamer, or cursor. I said, baby, it's non-negotiable. You're going to move up front as of today. And if we see a different behavior, then we will make a different decision. But as of today, here's what we're going to do.
That's that accountability that you and I were talking about offline. There has got to be a place, no matter how much we, admire a person or love a person or whatever it is, whoever we're connected to, and they have, so much value to us, we still have to hold that person or those people accountable, because it only makes them better. And being able to express that to them, especially if we got to give them a little bit of feedback that might not be so glowing, we might have to pull their coattails and tell them where they're falling short. And if we do that the right way, they can receive it from us. But we still have to find ways to hold each other accountable when we aren't at our best, because there are going to be times when we're not at our best. It happens to every single one of us.
Yes.
And so if we're not holding ourselves personally accountable, we have to allow other people to do it for us.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, personal accountability, feedback is necessary if you're going to be in this thing called life. People deserve it and need feedback, but that doesn't mean they need to be destroyed and humiliated. I don't think you ever have to do those two things for people to hear you.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So I think, at the end of the day, I love the work that we do. I love the work that you're doing. I think it's important, like you said, the sharper edge. How do you get better at making sure you take care of yourself and the people that are counting on you to do it? And I think for me, I always want to continue to learn how to do it effectively. And I always want people to have permission to help me get better at it. I give people permission to help me get better.
Absolutely. And that's the deal. Give people permission. Give me feedback. Hey, tell me what I need to know how to do better. And that way, when they do that, I shouldn't get upset about it because I invited in the conversation, right?
Yes. And none of this is easy. So those of you that listen, if I make it sound easy, it's not. There are challenges, and I don't always get it right. I would say 95% of the time I do, but those I'm a human being. And I got to be forgiving of myself sometimes as well. But if I, someone will push a button, I can remember young in uniform, someone got on my nerves and the word that I don't like, that I shouldn't use, I told them to shut up, like in a public meeting. And I was like, you know what? Let me apologize to you publicly.
Right.
I should first. I was out of place, and I shouldn't have let my emotions get the best of me.
Yeah.
I didn't even make an excuse. I said, "There's no excuse for it. I should have never done it." And they were like, "Oh, it's okay." I said, "No, it's not. It's not even okay with me." I said, "It's not even okay with me." But let me publicly tell you, my apologies, and that'll never happen again. And I never did it again.
That's excellent modeling. Sometimes people got to see what it looks like. And so I'm going to go back as we get ready to close. You were mentioning parenting. And so that's what parents need to learn as well. You got to show your kids how to behave, right? And so you can't just tell them what to do all the time. They got to see it in you, because they're certainly watching. And so they're yelling at your kids. What do you expect your kids to do if you're yelling all the time? They're going to yell because they think that's the way to handle a tough conversation, right? Oh my gosh. So these kids we got to do a better job as adults to help these kids learn how to express themselves with kindness, like you were saying, and with clarity, and with some type of value system deeply embedded in them, so that when times get tough, they can, latch on to that thing, go back and get it, and remind themselves, this is how my mom, my dad, my guardian, whomever, taught me how to be a good human being.
Yeah, I'm laughing because, talked to Ron Jr. and he said, "Dad, I'm not ready to be like you yet."
Oh.
He like, no, you never yell. You don't. You always keep your composure. And we laugh and joke at my son like that. He say, he'd always laugh. He say, "Man, if you don't get into heaven, ain't nobody getting into heaven.
Ain't nobody getting in there."
I said, "Dude, you do some stuff that." He said, "Dad, you do stuff I ain't even ready to do. Don't want to do."
Right.
Because people say some crazy stuff and you just smile and be like, "Okay, we'll figure it out." He's like, "I ain't figuring nothing out. I'm ready to come across the counter."
I know, right? Hey. when they got enough years behind them like we do, it's not going to get under their skin as much. We still feel passionately about stuff, but we just going to approach it differently. So tell him
Yeah.
he's just right on target with his age and
Yeah. So you
everything.
get
So
there, man. You get there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Ron, listen, it's been good as usual. I really appreciate all the conversations we have on camera, off camera. We always have so much to talk about. I hope you will agree to come back
yes.
to talk to us again, because there's a lot, just so much in terms of leadership and just being good humans that we
Yeah.
can share with the world.
Yeah. I would tell everybody, thank you. I mean, if you want to know more, go out, the book again. It is the recent release for y'all. It's on Amazon. Love to have your support. But a lot of the stuff we talk about is in there. I mean, there's 12 different chapters that talk about something around values. And if you ever need assistance, and you can reach Betty, you can reach me. I'm on LinkedIn. Betty will
Yep.
post that. I have a company. You can go on there. I'm not a big Facebook fan. I do put stuff out there. I'm not on all the other social media platforms, but I'm accessible. If there's anything I can do, you can reach through Betty or myself and contact me. I'm happy to answer questions.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you, Ron Harvey, for being with us on the Sharper Edge podcast this week. Wish you a wonderful week. And for everybody else, please make sure you join the discussion. Drop your respectful comments in the comments section. Tell us what you think. Tell us about your own personal values and just join the conversation. And join us again next week on the next episode with another guest around these people issues that we're helping and hoping that we're resolving. Have a great week.